Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Really disastrous for a president
to even say
be unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was
Backfired.
terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news, and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
Hello, it's a new week in a new month, so we have a whole new debate for you. Welcome to The Advocate. Today, Liborous wants to inspire us to live above the limitations of our circumstances. Ekene would have us believe that the foundation of our nation's success lies in the hands of the PTA. I'm not so sure. Uche addresses the hijacking of a different success story, whilst Chuka says it succinctly. Let's end this entitlement nonsense now. I'm first in the line today, and I simply want to say it's time we put Lagos first. On my weekly radio show, where we talk all things Lagos, I have a rule. We don't talk about traffic. It's already a given. There's no doubt, absolutely no argument, that we need a better, more efficient and effective public transport system. We moan about our congested roads like the cars invade us from out of space. As with most metropolises in the world, Lagos is synonymous with overcrowding, vibrant economy and expanding business landscape. Therefore, paralytic congestion. The loudest of the complaints come from car drivers, especially the middle class, who put 2, maybe 3 cars on the road from one household every morning. Believe it or not, some of these journeys are just short hops. Don't get me wrong, I'm in no way chastising people for enjoying the rewards of their hard work, not at all. But I do think it's time to stop lamenting and start doing. We know the odd and even numbers policy of the 80s failed woefully. We also know the effects of perpetual traffic on our health, economy, and the society at large. I think it's time to take stock and take responsibility for how we, the citizens, also contribute to this menace in our society. So let's talk solutions. Pedestrianized commercial and business districts, introduction of congestion charge, stricter planning laws for CBDs and harsh penalties for those who break them, more utilization of current public transport options. My personal favorite is the NAPEPs. As annoying as they are when I'm driving, I totally love them as a passenger. You should try them one day. And finally, all primary and secondary schools should be mandated to provide school buses. These options that I list are not exhaustive, but do form part of the holistic approach, which I believe are urgent requirements to quash this epidemic. Their success and implementation will require the partnership of business, government, and citizens. This time, think not so much what Lagos can do for you, but what we as individuals are willing to sacrifice for the Lagos we proclaim to love and own.
Yeah.
Well, I think, I don't know if the citizens are going to be part of the solution in the way you put it at the end. I think the government and business are the 2 main people that will have to drive the solution.
I thought of that.
Because the planners, urban planners, they're very important. We really have to replan Lagos. So while we talk about the transport systems and what others, the transport system, so water, land, cars and rail, we need to replan areas completely where teams are given sections of Lagos to replan. So we know where to pedestrianize, where to turn into one way, what to turn even into green space. And when we are done, we then begin to think
lanes for Okadas and NAPEPs.
And lanes for, exactly. So it's actually that simple. It's that simple, and we have the money.
I agree.
We have the people to do it, but we are not serious
willingness.
about
The
doing it.
willpower,
Yes,
the willingness.
yes. When we break it up, Ikeja, this group, a consortium, Ikoyi consortium. Lekki is very big, so we shouldn't say Lekki as if it's one place. It's many places, so we have to be particular. You will find that this town can be reorganized.
Yes,
But then
I
won't
agree.
it come down to the money factor? Because it's
But
usually
the money is
We can
there.
afford it. The
I
money
think the money is there.
Yes.
The reason I'm
To redesign,
Yes.
the money is there.
Oh, really?
To implement, let's do the design first.
The amount of money that Lagos collects in tax. Go ahead.
Yeah, because Ireti talked about car owners putting 3 cars, 2 cars on the road. I don't want to put 3 cars on the road,
Yeah.
but I'm compelled
to, yes.
put 3 cars
Yes.
on the road
Yes. Yes.
because I am here. I can't be in my children's
Very
school
true.
Correct.
at the
Very
same
true.
time.
because of the
And
traffic.
your children
Because
have no public transport
They have no
safe
public
There's no-
that they can jump into.
no
And there's no
safe
school
public
bus that will come and pick
Exactly,
them up.
and this is where I wanted to come in about the safety. Until we make public transport safe,
Even safer.
then nobody is going to want to use them. But what I noticed today, sorry, as I was coming in, I was actually interested. It was Okadas. But they're not your normal Okadas.
The go-karters.
They,
With the
yeah,
green
I
helmets.
looked at it and I thought,
Go-karters.
I'm impressed with
they
them.
have their
Yes, they're
helmets,
good.
Yeah,
they
very
have
organized.
everything. And I thought, this is what
And they
we
have an
need.
app as well.
And we need the
Yes.
same.
Yes.
And we need the same thing. For
We have the
the-
same for NAPEP, actually.
Yeah, we do.
Somebody has
But we
started-
now
Yeah,
need
there's an app
to
for them as well.
remove
Yeah.
the ones that are not, driving safely and all of that, and then fill the roads with the safe modes of
yes.
transportation.
Uche,
I think then most
like
people, because I
Chuka
want to use
said-
keke.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
Chuka said, once you shape up, those that can't shape up will naturally shape
Shape
out.
out.
Because
Yes.
people will
Yes.
vote with their
Yes.
feet.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so, once you first and foremost have the planning, the design,
Yeah.
and then you start implementation, it's like you create these Lamata clean buses on a route, and it is safe and affordable. No matter how
AC.
attractive
They must
the
have
Molue
AC.
is,
You won't
nobody would want to go there. But when the buses are either too expensive or they're as bad as the Molue, and you look at the alternative like they're almost the same thing. And so that's why I believe, like Chuka has said, it's that simple.
It is that
All
simple
we
and
need is
doable
the willpower.
to do it.
Nigerians, like we always say, Nigerians are not. We are not as lawless as people
make us
Oh, we
out.
totally are not. When we go to another country, we behave ourselves.
because in those places the rules apply.
Yeah.
Irrespective
You can't
of
bribe
your
your way out
status.
of it.
But here we apply the rules more in breach because we allow certain persons to
That's
be
the word,
above the
more
law.
in breach.
But then
We
actually,
actually
I
want
was going to
those
say that
rules to be
in a way,
broken
even
in
though I
many
started off
ways.
thinking like Chuka, where I said, well, a lot of these solutions will have to come from the government. And
Yes,
but then
I
from
agree
the
with
other
you.
perspective, when you talk about the go-karters and you talk of the NAPEPs, there's a movement where people have by themselves gone and set up apps, gone and set up. There's a guy who is doing a NAPEP, like a NAPEP
Yes.
limousine.
Yeah.
And so those people will drive up the competition. They will make other people sit up and say, and that's usually how things work
That's
in
the
Nigeria.
entrepreneurial
That is-
spirit
Yeah.
that we have.
So
in
the entrepreneurs in us.
Creative.
Also,
But then the other
driving
ones
that
will still
process,
remain.
government.
Yeah.
No, but they will be pushed out, like he said, because
But
the
they need
competition.
government. Yeah, they need
that
government.
means legislation.
the government,
Yeah,
Bring them
legislation,
out.
policy,
the government
standard,
also
implementation.
needs to ensure that their regulations are perfect.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Proper.
They won't just
Otherwise-
go out on-
Otherwise, just like what's happening recently with Lagos and the taxes, what do you call it, taxify,
Yes.
Uber and the rest.
Yeah.
And this tax issue, because if care is not taken, if it's not properly handled, also that also can kill such beautiful ideas. So government needs to need to be a collaboration.
I
synergy.
totally
But please, no
Yeah.
congestion charge.
Oh, you don't.
Yes, I was thinking of that.
We don't want it. No, I don't
was thinking
want
of
it
that.
because
No,
I think
no,
the citizens
Ireti.
have
Now,
suffered
it doesn't have to be
Ireti.
immediately.
We'll
but
do
we
it.
No, please, let's not even put it out there because trust
when
me.
you
When it is
sorted out public
organized,
transport,
when
we
it
catch
is
it
organized,
straight
when
away.
there is affordable,
Yes.
I
reliable,
agree.
and safety
Then we
means
can
of
start
transport,
doing
then
congestion
you can do
charge.
all of that.
Absolutely.
But when you
When
are
you're
not
not
providing
providing
anything,
alternative.
you still want me to suffer
they will-
for your
and they
inefficiency.
will do
Yes,
that
yes,
once you
yes.
give them the idea.
Yes. So you see, on this show, we don't just debate, we come up with practical solutions, and it's for you to take away. Anyway, after the break, Liborous shows us how to make lemonades with lemons. Back soon.
Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Really disastrous for a president
to even say
be unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was very terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news, and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news. You're watching The Advocate on Plus TV. When life throws you lemon, make lemonade. The recent revelation by Nigerian comedian / actress that she's a product of rape came to many as a rude shock. Helen Paul, who made the shocking revelation on her Instagram page while celebrating her graduation as a PhD holder in theatre art from the prestigious University of Lagos, which she dedicated to her mom for standing by her all through the struggle. In her words, I, Helen Paul, dedicate this to you, my mom. You gave birth to me out of rape. They told you I wouldn't amount to anything. I grew up hearing from family members being called a bastard. And each time I asked, you said, Olorun lowo omo weary. Anyway, with time, my Yoruba is still growing. Meaning God watches over the child of a mad person. He will watch over you. Now, I would ask, where is the rapist's father? Will he bury his head in shame and ignominy or step out as a proud father of a celebrated comedian, compare the other? Anyway, that's not gist for another day. While her revelation became a subject of gossip in some quarters, thanks to social media, some have chosen to find out more about her story if it's just a publicity stunt, while others are celebrating her for revealing her dark secrets. I join others to celebrate her today while clicking my glass in her honor for giving a voice to the voiceless in our society and raising the light that so many who are despair may see and believe that despite the circumstances of your birth, they can achieve whatever they set their mind on. And to every person out there who has gone through one form of abuse or the other, or others who feel limited by virtue of the circumstance of their birth, there's no limitation as to what you can achieve, except the limitation in your mind as to what you can't do. Believe in yourself, and like Helen, you can stand tall, even taller than Paul, despite your height.
That's awesome. I absolutely love that. This is the first time I'm actually hearing about this. And
oh, really?
Yeah, and it's heartbreaking.
It's
I mean, I can't even, you never really think about the people that are products of rape. Right. I've never come across anybody that is a product of rape, or even if I have, they have not admitted to. So what she's done is absolutely amazing. I mean, she's now let us know that there are these group of people that go through all manners of discrimination and not for any fault of their own.
Victims.
They're victims, exactly.
And so for me, that's why
it's really
I chose to celebrate her and use her as a metaphor to encourage others, and not this total decay and talking about the worst kind of stories that's everywhere now.
Yes, again, I was going to say, actually, linking to that there's always that dilemma of how do you use your story to, how do you use your private story to encourage others, and to what extent do you open up? Because apparently she's still in touch with her dad. And she said, who would not like your dad, no matter what he did. So she's forgiven him, apparently. So it's not like they're separated. But she still felt she had to acknowledge her mom. I know someone else very quickly who, and this is their story to tell, but really, the woman was raped really on the eve of her wedding. But the husband, and she fell pregnant, but she and her husband, they still got married and brought up this child as their own. So they, in due course, they'll tell the child, but they've loved the child as their own. So they've had other children, but this child is still special to them.
But really, I use my story in life also to inspire a lot of young boys around me.
Yeah,
we're waiting to see whether he will tell his story.
No time. But I can tell you, I have growing up really wasn't. We had our challenges, as a young boy.
Yeah.
And so I tell people, though, irrespective of where you grow up, it's where you're going to that matters.
And that's why you can identify with it.
So in the case of Helen, and really big applause to her, but there are many children who are the offsprings that come from rape and traumatic situations. And there are several other ways that women go through trauma than just rape. And the fact that, I think what's important is the fact that she, in this society, where such a thing is covered up and she comes out with it so openly, it's what I find really important, really inspiring, quite groundbreaking. And it's also interesting, like you said, she came out with it after doing her graduation. Now, what she wanted to say is her mother said to her in Yoruba, "Olong long wo mo weary," which means you gave the translation already. And I think, for me, I hope the society at large is actually able to now know that they need to support women, survivors of rape. The fact that she's still in touch with her father is also one I want to quickly bring in. So what often happens is, like Ochanya, remember Ochanya? And a lot of, so women get raped in Nigeria, young girls, whatever, and the family will say, marry her. Almost as if to
cover the shame.
Not just cover the shame, to make right what you've already done wrong. So we must be careful. So what I'm saying is there's a slight, because I don't want my daughter who has been raped to marry the man that, look, I had a maid. Very quickly, I had a maid, lovely girl, and I just noticed she was very quiet, very quiet, very quiet. She had a child before she came to me. One day I called, I said, tell me, why is it you can't defend yourself? Somebody stole your voice. That's what I always say. And people don't realize what happens with rape. Your voice is stolen. That's why we keep saying extend. I said, somebody stole your voice. So I said, how did you have your child? She said, I was by force. Now, very quickly, luckily for her, when she came out with it and told everybody. When she came out very quickly. When she came out with the story, and it came out that she was already pregnant by the time the story came out, they tried to deny it. Eventually, the family then accepted, because it was a cousin that raped her. The family didn't, and then they approached her father to say they would marry her. And her father said, no, over my dead body will you marry. I'm not going to give my child up for such a circumstance.
Two wrongs don't make it right.
Two wrongs don't make it right. So if she's still in touch with her dad,
you're not sure about that?
Well, I'm not saying she shouldn't be, but I think there needs to be therapy.
I didn't know of that. I just heard for me, really, is the fact that in spite of her circumstance, her mother stood by her.
Yes,
she had no choice.
There are so many women who abandon theirs.
No, but those who abandon their child,
they're more in the exception to the rule than for me, it's not commendable that the mother stood by the child, because I expect that. But if she does,
okay, stood by her. Maybe stood by her is not where he wants to stop. Instilled in her a sense of dignity, because she's celebrating the mom. She's celebrating the mom for who she is today.
That's a different thing.
When instill a sense of whatever I have, self-worth, it's very important, because I have a cousin who was, when we were younger, the opposite happened. I don't think she's the product of rape, but she's just one of those people that the mother will never tell her who her father is. And all that, where you beg your mother to the ends of the earth and she will refuse. As saying, what is it that you will not tell me who it is? It's affected her life completely.
Of course it would.
And then don't forget, you then end up answering your mother's name, and so everybody laughs at you.
Yeah, there's another. What I'm saying
and
is,
bastard in Nigeria.
As the connotation.
What I'm saying
I think we're getting over it though. With time, we're getting more westernized in these matters. Otherwise, this Helen Paul, this Helen Paul will not say this kind of thing.
Because people are talking about
that's why I'm also saying this, so that there are so many people with stories like there are so many people who would now come out to say, yes, this was my situation also. And then there are some mothers also who is, because of the circumstance, they will taunt that child forever.
Absolutely.
It's almost like the anger they feel about
the anger they feel.
But this is what I'm saying. That's
in some cases, you find out that the grandmother comes to the rescue.
Correct.
But in this case, in spite of the circumstances, the woman stood by her daughter. It's still in her a sense of self-worth.
And this is the thing. I think at the point when you choose to keep a child, a pregnancy, that's the offshoot of rape. What I keep saying is therapy, support, community, etc., etc. But even more so is that somebody needs. I would like to see what her father has to say. Like you said in your thing, where is he? He needs to come out and actually say whether he regrets it. Because he might be thinking
that would be a game changer for a lot of people.
Like I said, now gist for another day.
Another day.
And we'll probably get there soon.
She's a strong
but
woman.
you know, okay, well, time flies when you're having fun, like I said. Lifting up the standard, that's what we do here on The Advocate. Ekene flies the flag to the PTA after the break. So just sit back. It's not yet over.
You're watching The Advocate on Plus TV Africa. Long live the PTA. It may seem increasingly to be going out of fashion, what with Brexit and a more nationalist, conservative global agenda. But partnerships are the future. Take it from me. Any school that hopes to raise the progenitors of the future would have to demonstrate a key understanding of the vital partnership of parents and teachers. As one who has been on the parent circuit for over 18 years, I believe I can give advice to both parents and teachers alike. One of the telltale signs of a school setting up its tombstone is for them to refuse to listen to their key stakeholders, the parents. In this season of primary, secondary school transition exams, I've come across schools that may well fit this bill by the way they lay out their agenda without apparently consulting their parents. On the other hand, show me a parent who believes their partnership with their child's school begins and ends with paying school fees, and I'll show you a frustrated parent, an unfulfilled child, and what is largely a wasted investment. Parents, join the PTA. Get to know your teachers, attend open days, support the school, and speak out where there are deficiencies. This is where you vote with your feet. Schools, maintain an open door policy towards parents indeed, not merely on paper. Actually listen and respond to parents' criticisms, no matter how vicious, and they can get pretty vicious. Ultimately, the parent-teacher partnership is a union that will override and remedy the effects of generations of failed governance to pave the way for a more equipped leadership of our dreams today. Herein lies the real hope for our beloved nation. Long live the PTA.
Yeah, I actually want to. No, I want to agree. I totally agree with what everything Ekene said.
I don't.
I don't totally.
I don't.
I like this one.
You know why?
Divided house.
So what do you?
Chuka is not saying anything.
I'm so.
I agree.
Oh well, wait until you hear what I say.
I
So with
agree
him.
that the PTA, fantastic idea.
Yeah.
But the way PTAs are run here, it's run more like, okay, there's needs for PTA, so we have it.
Yeah.
And not what you're advocating is good, fantastic. That's what.
But that's not
ought
what's
to
on the
be.
ground.
That's not what's on the ground. And so you find out that you not being a member, that's where I disagree, does not, change.
Or even, you're saying even if you were a member.
Even if you're a member or not being a member, because there are members of PTA in my kids' school who do not know half of the things that I know.
Thank you.
And me that is not a member of the PTA, I relate more with teachers.
Yes.
Okay.
I relate more with the school authority than even people who are in PTA.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. But actually, maybe what I have in, I agree with you.
Which is what you're advocating.
Yeah.
If you're a member of PTA,
I agree with you.
should be that synergy and one-on-one
I'm looking at the
relationship.
ideal, but I agree with you. Because for me, PTA stands for a partnership. So however you can still engage with the school. But I know what you mean.
Because
Ideally,
the way
it should function.
At it from what Ekene says, that every parent is part of a PTA. I didn't know that there's like an association that you now say, oh, I'm a member.
There is.
I thought you were just automatically a member.
You have automatic rights.
And that's what I thought she was talking about.
There are some PTAs
to actually join.
Yeah.
Some people, there was one, the first and the last I ever attended, and that day we're discussing the fees, the hiking fees, and a lady stood up and said, it's not a charitable organization, if you want to. And I was like,
thank you.
And she finished, other ladies clapped for her. You can send your children to
anywhere.
Public school, education is not cheap, blah, blah. And I just looked at her and I said, well, you are here. Your husband is on Third Mainland Bridge now in VI, and here you are incurring bills for him. And I walked away.
No, but Liborous, you still have to accept that that's democracy functioning. She's speaking her mind, whether you like it or not.
So here's what I say. I'm with Liborous on this, but I'll even take it further. I think, 18 years as a parent, I get you. 16 years, and I even think I've been a parent probably since my sisters have been having kids. I hate parents-teachers associations. I absolutely abhor them. As a mother, as a female, let me first of all tell you, I said to my son, the day they call me to your school, that's the end of your life. The day I come by myself, we're good. That's the first thing. Secondly is, like Liborous said, what often happens with PTAs in Nigeria, especially, and look, I went to school, I went to boarding school. My parents were never part of the PTA. My son is in boarding school right now.
Boarding school, yeah.
My son is in boarding school right now. I'm not part of the PTA, but I send emails and I communicate with his teachers by email. I communicate with his headmaster, and we do Skype calls. So I don't think you need to be part of a PTA to actually be able to make a difference or invest in your child's school. I am paying you the school. Please, let's get it straight.
No,
I am giving you money to educate my child first. Number one. Number two is we have a contract where it says the safety and the paramount safety of my child is in your hands. Now, when you, Liborous, have time, you make time and you go to the school. And I want you to be available to talk to me. I'll make the appointments to talk to you. I don't think PTAs are the ones that's going to solve our problem in Nigeria, either as a parent or as a society. I think PTAs are about handbags, shiny shoes for men, and ties.
You know you have swayed me, because seriously, I'm not down with associate. I don't like membership, anything. But I like. No, I have to. That's what I'm saying. She swayed me because I didn't know. I took it as PTA was just as a parent you automatically So therefore you should want to have an interest in what your child is learning, what they're doing. Like I didn't even know that I'm not a member of the PTA. My child.
No, you are automatically. Unless you don't want to attend.
But I mean, I think you can do that without needing to be any member, But the other thing I discovered also, I mean, I'm just speaking from my own experience, is that when you first want to say something, to teachers, they are actually defensive. They're very, very defensive. The way I had to speak with my child's headmistress was to first calm her down, understand that, look, we're here to work together. And I'm not, adverse to hearing criticism about my child, but I'm looking for solutions. So we had to,
I think the spirit of what we're saying is that the partnership must exist, but not necessarily in the format of a meeting,
calling people. Membership on that.
Chuka, being the one that has the oldest children on the panel.
I once moved my children to a new school back then, and after a year there, they made me the chairman of the parents' rep team.
What a nightmare.
I've been a governor.
I can't imagine.
The reason they made me, and every other person in the thing was a woman. We're women.
So much
fun.
And
the reason they made me the chairman, they said, was that they were shocked at a man who constantly was seen in school in the morning, in the afternoon. They were just shocked.
Look at that stereotype nonsense. So that's part of what I mean.
Yeah, but it's rare though.
It's a stereotype.
It's rare.
No, but
I was
we're making an observation.
Yes. So I was made the chairman.
In Nigeria.
The team was quite well organized. Okay. We got some things done. I think that the problem is that we are all not the same. And a lot of us cannot join groups, make groups and not begin to quarrel, have political ambition. I think it's political ambition that kills PTA.
Yes.
Political and economic ambition. All of a sudden, even who to give food to the children, to bring packed food.
Yes, contracts.
Contracts.
No, but you see, why I find it interesting, sorry, I'll just make this point quickly, is that for me, if a PTA is like a microcosm of what we're trying to achieve, whether in Lagos or in Nigeria. So if we can't make it work, what makes us think we can make the other one work? Where you have the child's interest at heart that matters to everybody.
Because you talk about democracy, interest, and all of that. PTA ordinarily should be about the children's welfare, security, and then the school.
Last,
Yeah, but you find out that, like Chuka said, there are a lot of interest in PTA, much more than what it should be at play in our PTA. So I would rather have those relationship with all the teachers,
one-on-one.
the school, one-on-one. I can, if my child is having problems, you can call me and say, these are some of the areas I noticed. Like what they do, the teachers will call me, as they are going on holidays, please, we need them to concentrate on so areas.
That's partnership. That's partnership.
I enjoy that more.
Okay, kick out the politics. Okay, it's time to hear from you, our partners in advocacy. If we no ask you, who we go ask? Hijit says on Citizen X, and whether we're able to start a revolution by honing our talents. Interesting. The caption of a potential revolution in Nigeria caught my eyes as I read my online news feed this morning. And I could not resist chipping into that discussion. For me, my angst against the government is the whole-scale bad road network and the lack of continuous power supply. I believe deeply that correcting these two sins is the minimum required to transform the fortunes of the country and the Nigerian people. Why can't the government see the glaringly obvious? So Edith is just venting her own private revolution. On License to Kill, Dr. Doherty Orode says, the problem we mostly have is that people are reluctant to bring out the whole story. They tell only snippets, and we therefore cannot confront colleagues and facilities because they have a totally different story from the relatives, and then they don't have the case note to verify, and we're stuck with maybes. So this is a frustration for everyone. On the pledge, Susan says, this is the truth of the matter. Let everyone who has ears hear this. So Liborous, thumbs up for you. Then there's the conversation between Uzo and Dora on the Advocate episodes. Uzo says, I'm enjoying them a lot. Dora says, Uzo was lagging behind myself, but had time to catch up yesterday. They're all amazing with incredible episodes. Thank you for watching.
Thumbs up to all of us.
Yeah, thumbs up to all of us. Thank you for watching the up-to-date library of the Advocate episodes. Scripts, profiles of the Advocate, basically all things Advocate, can be found on plustvafrica.com/The Advocate. Do keep your comments coming in on Facebook, Plus TV Africa, #The Advocate NG, or on Instagram and Twitter at Plus TV Africa, #The Advocate NG. We love hearing from you. Let's go for a quick break, and when we return, Uche will turn our minds to the other side of success. Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Really?
Disastrous for a president
To even say
to be
he's unaware.
unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was very
Backfired.
terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
You're watching The Advocate on Plus TV Africa. Not everything is a laughing matter. A few weeks back, I came across the video of Little Success complaining bitterly as she was sent home from school because she was yet to pay her school fees. She insisted that she would rather be flogged repeatedly than to be sent home. This was both funny and endearing.
You never pay now.
I never been. Let me say I no go pay. I'm gonna push it, but instead of it, the frog person go push it.
Okay, so you wait, but you better not me they flog you. Or be they say me you go tell your mommy.
They flog me. They flog me.
Why they go flog
me?
you?
They will be flog. The Kenny go tired. They go tired for flogging. They go flog. They go tired. And they say they stop. I tell they say I stop. And they say they stop.
The video went viral, and before long, Good Samaritans sprang out from everywhere, offering financial assistance to the girl and her family. The government authorities were also forced to sit up and investigate the reason behind her suspension. Fast forward to today. Success is now the darling of the comedy world. She often shows up at comedy shows, repeating her famous line, "Make them flog me." It seems to me something just ain't right. The comedians appear to be cashing in. They exploit this little girl as she performs well past her bedtime. Is Success going to turn into the story of Olajumoke, the bread seller, who was thrust into the celebrity world with an instant modeling career and sponsorship, but now is nearly broke and with a broken marriage to boot? Success's desire to remain in school struck a massive chord with her viewers. Rather than turn her into a performing monkey, let's focus our energies and our goodwill to ensuring that her and others like her stay in school. Why is it that in Nigeria being successful must equate with celebrity, and yet we know that many are unable to forge sustainable careers in the public eye? Enough of all this. It is time to give success what she wants and needs: a sound education.
Oh, preach it, sister. Preach it.
Can I have a
preach it,
high five?
sister? This has been bugging me.
No, wait, I'm sure.
This has been bugging me because first and foremost, what they're doing with success is not only have they turned her into a performing monkey, but they're actually disrespecting this girl and they're disrespecting her family. And I think it's a form of child abuse. Honestly, I really hate it.
Yeah,
that's number one. Number two, stop, calm down. Number two, don't come into.
She's on a flow. Keep flowing.
Carry on.
As for Olajumoke, oh my word, the same thing. And I remember saying back then, and I would have discussions with friends and say, look, sorry, you've turned this girl into a caricature. Fine, you make her a model, and then you start posting about how you're teaching her to speak English, how she's trying to speak English. You turned her into a total caricature. Her husband now no longer knows how to communicate with his wife. I don't know what they were like before, but they must seem like they were okay.
Yeah, I think they were okay.
And this is where we get things wrong. You want to help people, help them, leave them out of the public eye, and let them move on with their lives. Don't turn them into poster child of your, what's that thing, philanthropy, just so because it suits you. I hate it. I think it's absolutely disgusting. Yeah. And all of them should be ashamed of themselves.
Let me just say, the worry one is not make them flog you.
Yes, now make them flog.
Uche said it in one.
I don't know how to get
Don't worry, Jerry. Yeah, say it in worry.
Say it in worry first. Make them flog.
Make them flog.
You go flog me, you go tie.
Yeah, exactly.
The cane go break.
You see, it's the
girl is so cute.
First and foremost, the sense of entitlement.
Yep.
And then the fact that even though we are highly religious, we are less godly. And so when we want to give, we want the cameras to be on us, that we are giving. We want everybody to know that we are giving. And so that's why everybody that is giving now must be in the news. So-and-so person gave Success and her family 500,000. You know, so at the end, the girl didn't set out to want to do comedy.
Become a celebrity.
All she wanted was, I want to go to school. There's so many people out there who share similar stories.
Yes, that's right.
You know, so if we can channel all of this energy on success. Let's also use that,
set up a foundation or something,
as a platform to set up foundation to reach out, you know, to people, other children, and then use that to galvanize
government to do something,
to providing infrastructure. Because if you see some of the schools, you know,
but let me even just about Olajumoke's story. I found myself, I was sort of, is the word mesmerized or captivated? I was looking at the picture of this lady. I don't know, we've all seen that picture on the page where she's looking like an aristocrat.
No,
and I said to myself, it's lovely to imagine that this woman, just by virtue of birth, could have been an aristocrat. She could have been an elite. It's just because. So I like that. I know. I'm just saying. No. I'm imagining because her bone structure, everything. She looked like she'd been living the life. And you said to yourself, no wonder people.
That's what happens when you balance bread. You have to balance the bread.
No, but I'm saying What is inspiring me? What is inspiring me? I'm coming. Let me say it.
You can be rich.
What I'm saying is that I like the idea of the rags to riches. I like the rags to riches thing. I like the, which is what the education system should allow. That just because you were born poor doesn't mean you can't have an access.
Yeah, but that's different to what happened.
I know, I'm agreeing, but I'm just trying to say that this is why people are drawn to those kind of stories. Is because
we all like
they like that,
stories, but I think with Olajumoke, honestly, it became the word I can use is caricature.
Her life, actually.
It literally became a caricature. Look, what you say, she was standing there so regal. Like I said, when you watch girls that sell bread, they balance and they stand up so regal because you have to balance it. It's a simple case of physics. Yes, it's a simple case of physics. And she happened to be walking by. And I don't doubt that it was a good intention by those who wanted to help her. Of course. But what happened is it was then hijacked by others.
Who want to make money out of it.
And that's where the problem is.
And Ireti, really, there's need for us to, we can't say this enough. Yes, you want to do good to people, you want to do good, but please, for God's sake,
leave them out of the media circus.
Out of the publicity.
Honestly,
you don't need to blow your trumpet to show that you know. And then also, you need to also don't just teach them, don't just give them fish. Teach them how to fish.
Exactly.
Give them something that will sustain them. Modeling can be a short-term thing.
Yes.
But give them education that will sustain them beyond.
And man, I think that when you're dealing with,
have found actually with being nothing.
You remember musical
most of
youths?
models,
yes,
top models.
that's where
I remember musical youths.
But I was even going to say that.
Yes, I remember musical
You were
youths.
sent
Yes.
back now.
Yeah, but I was even going to say that even when you're
They
dealing
made
with
money and went back.
when you're dealing with a child, it's even more,
More
precious that you take,
yes.
you don't expose this child.
And why is the
take
parents
advantage.
allowing her to go to be on
This is the
stage
problem
with
I
shows?
have.
They don't know
Why
any
is
better.
Success is on
They
these.
think
She's
they
on.
don't know any
No,
better.
that one is all about let's cash in. I understand
Yeah.
that the
They
parents
don't
are
know
like,
any
wow,
better.
let her bring the money in.
So
But
who
we
should
really
then,
need to educate
who should
them that
then be
there's
the
something very wrong
monitor,
with
the
this.
person that
Look
pulls
at-
them back from
Her
it?
age, not even the agents.
Take
You understand? There's not even an agent.
Sheun Kuti, for example. You could think, oh, Fela's son at that young age, she could play the sax, but she was sent to a school in London to study music. That's what's sustaining him today.
Funny you should mention Fela's son. Actually, Femi's son just graduated. I know because they happen to be, his godmother happens to be one of my best friends. Femi's son, the one that's actually going on now, Femi's son just graduated from university in England, and now they're promoting his music, and that's how it should be, And
You keep him away from the media.
So is there no law against child?
No, look,
There
my
isn't
son,
in Nigeria,
my son used to do adverts, right? In Nigeria, when we moved here, he was headhunted. They wanted him to do adverts, and he did a massive billboard campaign. And he also will be doing modeling. But one of the things that I did very quickly was, because they kept asking for him, I put a stop to it, and I said, I need you to concentrate.
Yeah.
If that talent is truly yours, you can come back to it and make money and pay for yourself to buy a house.
It happened to me.
Do you understand?
I told them
There's a time for everything.
I was on a TV program, and then decided discussing about musical instrument. I said, my son plays sax very well. I said, you bring him on TV now, let him. I said, no, because I know my child.
Yeah.
He's
You don't
also
want him
the guy
distracted.
type.
Yeah.
I don't want to distract him. Academic might not be all, but you need that foundation.
That foundation.
Once you get the foundation, the sky will be too near to
It
your
gives them
limits.
education gives them the confidence as well
to
to
go
deal with the
forward,
real
yeah.
world. Now
Correct.
look at somebody like Olajumoke.
Yeah.
Everything has fallen apart from her, and and she's still the same bread seller now,
Yeah.
and she won't
And they
even know
keep
how
calling
to
her bread
relate.
seller.
Yes,
And they
she won't even
still
know how
refer
to
to
relate
Olajumoke
to
as
the
bread
outside
seller.
world anymore. Now, how does she make a living for herself?
Beyond-
has she learned anything, or did she just have handlers?
Yes.
Taking care of everything, and now she's confused.
I've always wanted to reach out. I've actually always wanted to reach out to Olajumoke. Honestly, I've always wanted to reach out to her because I always think, who is talking to her about entrepreneurship? This money that you're making, and how to keep her feet firmly on the ground.
Yeah,
because we can only talk
very
on
soon,
it.
once another success comes,
Yeah.
this
We move
success
on
takes-
again.
the
It's
success
over.
takes
It's over.
the back door.
Isn't it funny? Success.
We seem to want
Is it
to be
really a
entertained
success
so much
story?
these days.
Time.
All right.
So success should
Okay. Thank you for all your views. That's so interesting. Well, we don't talk our own, like I'll try and do my worry pigeon. Let's keep monitoring Success's story and rooting for her. Chuka ignites some fire after the break.
You're watching The Advocate on Plus TV Africa. Time to provoke some change. Some years ago, 5 to be precise, God's Will Akpabio decided he deserved pension in the yearly sum of a few 100 million naira. He eventually became a senator and is now out of a job following the last elections. But now, the Bayelsa House of Assembly want a fat life pension upon retirement. Why do we always do these things? Who's the fool, or the downtrodden perhaps? They say man's inhumanity to man, and Nigeria is a great one for case studies on the subject. I say here that my work as an architect is as much needed by this country as Buhari's job as president. Why do politicians and soldiers think they deserve some perks for doing their job, for which they are rather handsomely paid? Let's end this entitlement nonsense now.
Bravo, I completely agree.
I just, I don't want to get angry again.
No, let's get angry. Let's get angry.
Getting angry.
Let's get angry.
It's a very,
What's the
very
pension law
angry.
for a start? Do you know? Do you remember? I can't remember the
one
current
for,
pension regulation for politicians.
Executives.
Yes,
No,
I forgot
public officers.
I think
by
that's-
virtue of the Code of Conduct Rules Act for public officers, even if you are a pension someone, a retiree earning pension, the moment you take up another government appointment, that pension stops. Ought to stop.
Right.
But we don't know
whether if
the governors that have turned the Senate to retirement home, who are earning pensions, still earns.
Yeah, exactly. This is
and there are so many of them.
What happened? Even Lagos.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. River State, Akwa Ibom, Kwara, Edo State. You know, you serve as governor even for 8 years or
and then you move
4 years. You are entitled to a house in the state capital and in Abuja. Then the deputy governor is entitled to a house in the state capital. Then you are entitled to at least 4 domestic staffs. And then
some cars.
Yes, about 3 or 4.
Every 4 years.
Change depending. Change. You change the cars every 3 years. 4 years.
What about the furniture as well in the house?
You are entitled to medicals.
Uncapped.
You are entitled for medicals. In Akwa Ibom, it was 100 million naira yearly for you and your family. You are
for medicals.
Yes, you are entitled to 6 in Lagos.
No, wasn't that what was proposed? In the end, it didn't go through.
No,
it went through.
No, Akwa Ibom was the scandal now.
Yeah, no, this is the
In fact, the motion was moved, and in 13 days, that was the fastest law in the history of Nigeria.
Yes, they escalated it.
In 13 days, it was passed.
That's my problem with it. How did we end up with a situation where the very people who have taken this money are the ones voting for it?
Yes,
so, you know,
and you are on the outside.
Quickly, for Bayelsa, the governor refused
it
to sign.
That's under some pressure.
Under pressure.
Yes.
That's the question. The Akpabio
like
one.
giving the
Akpabio one, you have to ask yourself again. Where was the people? Why didn't the people protest against it? Because they can pass laws inside. If we don't say, look, all the time we've been screaming, open NAS, open NAS, open NAS. The people of Bayelsa and what's the other one? Akwa Ibom can actually say, look, you know, somebody should put it out there, and they should be able to protest. If they're not protesting,
you're absolutely right.
Let me say one thing quickly. Let me say one thing quickly. We're very, very, very free in Lagos.
Yes.
Unlike some of the state capitals that I know.
You're right.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I will tell you. In most of these state capitals, because it's so small and almost everybody know everybody, and then the only thriving business in most of these state capitals is government. And so, the moment you raise your voice, before then, the governors become emperors.
Right.
And so, the moment you criticize the government, you are a target. And so that's why for those of us in Lagos and
you can
Abuja,
be more critical, more vocal.
Can be more critical.
But you can do it on social media.
They
still target you.
And so that's why you find out that once you become a governor, everybody wants to be in your party.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you don't want to be labeled detractors. You said that's the only way you'll be safe, and that's the only way you'll be financially.
So we need bodies like Sarah
all
to
the
get
people in these so-called states that aren't so free as we are in Lagos.
Band together.
Can they all come together and protest? Because this is the only way that protest will actually work.
Should come from Lagos.
Yes, you need a driver. I attempted going to recall my senator once. And I know what I went through.
What you went through, right?
Yeah, so you need a driver, and who is on ground, who is part of, the system, who understands.
Should we not even be looking to repeal a law that allows these people? This whole theory of separation of powers.
Yeah, and that's why we need to begin
award
to pray.
yourself a fat pension.
Take, for example, the one in Kwara. Now you have a change of leadership in Kwara.
Okay. Right.
We would expect that as this new government is coming in, they will look at some of these laws and take steps to repeal it.
But they won't.
But because it's beneficiary to all of them, everybody will be silent, including Amechi. Yeah. In River State also, Amechi is also a beneficiary.
And I think this is it. I think we need to, if we continue to push for open NAS, and if the people are truly voting for these people to be their representatives, then it's only the people that can actually stop
hold them accountable.
Hold them accountable. Number two, what you're talking about with this case that you're talking about, has it gone through?
No, because the governor vetoed it.
Yeah. Do we know why he vetoed it? Is it because the person
he gave his reasons?
Is it because the person that's sponsoring it?
What he said
it was
he
said the money wasn't there.
That there was no money.
And there's no law backing.
And that there is no law anywhere in the country where House of Assembly members or where the Constitution empowers
them.
The House of Assembly members to make a law that will make them pensionable.
Excellent.
Yeah,
so look at what he said.
And that apart from that, it's the people you can't, people you want to serve are already in poverty.
And this is the disgusting thing. He said there's no money, right? I wonder how many civil servants are still being owed their salary in this state. And yet we're talking of pensions.
I mean, why they have several allowances.
What would he have said though? I don't know, but what would he have said if the money was there? What would he have said?
He probably wouldn't have said anything
exactly.
because it will benefit him. Because he will probably go to
I didn't say anything about this.
But are you saying the House of Assembly don't know the money is not there?
No.
They know that you can borrow together.
Ireti, if the money were there and the infrastructures were available and none of us is suffering, nobody would bother how much they take.
No, it would still be.
No, but we may take our ears away from it as like now.
I think it would still be wrong.
He's saying apart from the fact that there is no money,
principle,
the Constitution does not make provisions for it that you should make yourself pensionable. You know, the law does not support it.
The whole thing is absurd. It's just
the people you are governing, you know, they're already impoverished.
They're struggling. And then, sorry, let me even bring in because I want to share, isn't this so ridiculous? The arguments being made over and over again by the House of Assembly was, oh, if you give us this pension, it makes sense to give us this pension because it will now stop us from stealing money.
So that means they've admitted that.
That was essentially what they were saying. If you give this money to us, then we won't fall foul of sharp practices. So otherwise, they're admitting that. That's the argument they were making.
Liborous as a lawyer. Is that not an admission of I am a chief?
Their own law. They've started, in spite of the fact that it was refused in Bayelsa. Another state of assembly, I've forgotten the name now, but in southwestern Nigeria have started. They are enacting a law to make, you know, it starts
they move so fast when they want to do these things.
When the governors do it. They do it, they collect pension. Just the same way the governors and president enjoy immunity. The National Assembly members
they wanted it that time,
So now, gradually, the way we are going, you can refuse it today.
To come back
how many,
to come back.
You know, how
so what do we do? How do we block this thing?
We have to protest. I don't know how else. It's about proper
protest. It needs to be a national protest then.
No, really.
And it needs to be a collective voice.
National one.
Yes. Not just protest.
Because it will come to us.
Not just protest. What we're even doing now is even better than protest.
Are you petitioning them?
No. This discussion we're having now is far better than protest. You know why? Because there's a lot of illiteracy out there.
That's it.
So people really don't know what is going on. That's why some of us don't even focus on our state, you know, leadership. We just look at Abuja. And so when we discuss and create the awareness, during elections, people will now know that they will know the power that your members, or House of Assembly members have. And so they won't vote riffraffs or people who will be self-serving into this
500,000 is what they were awarding themselves each. Just
per month.
Per month.
Yeah. Well, our time is up for today. However, Life and Advocacy continues on our social media platforms. We are on Facebook, Plus TV Africa, #TheAdvocateNG. On Instagram and Twitter, @Plus TV Africa, #TheAdvocateNG. We love hearing from you. In no time at all, we'll be back again, poking and prodding as we continue to advocate for a better society. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Really disastrous for a president
to even say
be unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was
very
terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news, and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, you know, the news.